Well, hello everyone, and thanks for joining. Today we are with Doreen Brown. She is the founder of an SEO company called Let's Get Visible. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and what led you into a career in SEO?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Emily, for having me on the show. My background, well, it started back in 2012, which is when I got into the wonderful world of SEO. So I had just had my second child, and the sleep deprived little voice in my head said, "Hey, let's venture off and do something a little bit different while I was on maternity leave." So I'd spent about 15 years in the corporate world, predominantly in financial services in that industry and area. And while I was on maternity leave, I'd always been fascinated by the internet and building my own website and doing all the things there. And so I ventured into learning how to code, built my very first website on my own, and pressed the launch button after months and months of putting all the content together, the images together. I was doing affiliate marketing as well, so I had all my links and all my bits, and pressed launch, and just expected that this new business would be taking over as my full-time job. And unfortunately, what happened when I pressed launch was that I heard crickets. And not just, one or two, but an entire orchestra of crickets. No one was coming to visit my website. And I had no idea why, because I was well, I'm on the internet. I have a website. There should be hundreds and thousands of people coming and, buying these products and reading my content. And I was completely lost at the time. And I remember calling an agency, and they, after Googling and researching and going, there's this thing called search engine optimization, or SEO, as we all know it. And I thought, okay, well, let me contact, an agency and find out how to, get this going. And I will never forget it. I contacted them. They had a look at my website, which I think was only maybe 5 or 10 pages. And I just remember them laughing down the phone at me, going, yeah, we can't help you. You're going to have to do a lot more work on this site in order for us to be able to optimize it. And I was I'm just so confused. I have no idea what that even means. So as the universe would have it, after months and months of trying to search and learn and do all the things, I landed an entry-level digital marketing position at an SEO company, right? So they advertised for an analyst, and because I had done all the research, built my own website and did all the things, that was actually my resume. That was what I put forward and said, look, I've done all of this all completely by myself. Imagine what I could do if I had the right support and training and assistance. And they were yeah, absolutely, let's put you in entry level. And I ended up spending 5 years there. Wow. And learned SEO from the ground up, and from people who were in the industry 10 plus years already. And it was very male dominated, I must say. A lot of the people that were working there were definitely male, and so there weren't a lot of females in the industry. And through the 5 years, I was able to kind of learn more and obviously develop a lot of more broader skills as well within the SEO sort of arena, and ended up being a team leader. So I was managing a team in the States, as well as in Australia too, but then they closed down. So in 2017, they suddenly just closed their doors, and I was you know what, I'm going to give this a go on my own, which is when Doreen Brown was launched, which then evolved into Let's Get Visible, and that's now been running, touch wood, coming up to 7 years in June of this year. So
that is an amazing journey. That is incredible. I love just hearing that, how you started, the reason why behind it too, and just the fact that you've been able to succeed for all these years also doing that, especially 12 what is that, 12 years ago now? 12
12
years
years.
ago. Yes,
Yep.
not having experience in it, but doing things on your own. And to me, that really showcases the desire, excuse me, and the drive to succeed. So that's amazing. And I love that. So let's talk a little bit about client acquisition. How was that for you at first whenever you were launching? Were you able to go out and just get customers because then you had more experience, or how did that work?
Great question. Oh my goodness. That was one of the most, I think, daunting and overwhelming parts of launching your
Yeah.
own business.
Yes.
So, when you work for other companies, the client acquisition is usually done by the sales team.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so, it's a completely separate skill and a separate arm to the
Mhm.
business that you really have to learn. So,
Yes.
for me, initially, apart from building and launching another website for my new business, I knew that SEO obviously is organic, and so it was going to take some time to get traction with that.
Mhm.
And so, a really large part of that client acquisition in the early days was really networking. So,
Yeah.
getting out there in person, introducing yourself, really getting over that. Oh my goodness, like I have to really get out there, put myself out there. And
Yeah.
yeah, initially it was a self branded business too. So, everything was, in my name and attached to my name. And so, I wanted to make sure that it represented what I stood for. So I did notice when working at the agency, a lot of our clients were medium to large corporate size,
Yeah. Yeah.
hotels and
Mhm.
just large organizations. And one thing that always came back to me was that phone call that I'd made way back in
Yeah.
2012
It's one of
when
those
the little
defining.
guy.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's kind of a defining moment that you recognize where you were during that time as well. So I love that you can go back to that and identify with it.
Yeah, and I just thought the bigger guys have the bigger budgets and can really, you know, be involved in paid ads, organic, all
Yeah.
the things. But the
Mhm.
smaller, small to medium businesses, the solopreneurs, they really don't have the support that the
Mhm.
medium to larger, businesses do.
Mhm.
And so it was really important for me that when I launched my consulting business, that it also catered to the smaller guys, the ones who were sitting at the end of the phone like me. And I just didn't want them to have that same experience when they called me, that, I wouldn't be laughing at them down the phone, that I would be absolutely understanding, because I was in their exact same position all
Yeah.
those years ago, that they would have someone that they could, talk to and get support from.
I
And
love
so
that.
that was a really, really important part when launching my business, and going to networking was making sure that that was always a really core part. If someone asked me to do like a 60-second elevator pitch, or
Yeah.
get up and stand and talk in front of a room of, 50 or 100 people, that was a core message that always, sort of resonated through things that I shared. So it wasn't just about, going for the medium to large businesses. In fact, it's more small to medium
Yeah.
is really,
And
who
it sounds like there's a big like relationship building aspect to that as well, because in like you were saying that it originally started with your name, you were the brand, and that now as you've grown, that's a really neat thing. So have you been able to onboard a team that helps you, or how do you fulfill and do all the things to support all these clients?
Great question. I love all your questions so far. So I have an assistant. So it's
Yeah.
just myself and my assistant. So there's two of us, and she
Yeah.
mainly assists me more with my stuff, if that makes sense. So more of my admin, more of the things that I don't get to do for my own business because I'm busy
Yes.
working on other people's businesses. And so
Mhm.
I'm very mindful that you need to keep growing,
Yes.
but you can grow in ways that don't necessarily require you to have big teams. I mean,
That's exactly right.
everyone's got a
Yes.
different way that they, want to grow and scale their business. And mine is really through my programs, my training, as well as my done for you services. So one of the unique things about Let's Get Visible is that there is no sales and marketing team. The person that you speak to is the person that works every single month on your actual business and on your website and all the things. And so you're not getting the Chinese whispers whereby someone comes through to sales and then by the time it comes to the account manager, you know, some of that information gets lost along the way. Like, my client's business becomes my business, and I care about them just as much as I care about my own business. And that's really been, I guess, the key to growing in a way that has brought in the right type of clients to work with. Because not only has the SEO for my business worked, which is the main marketing channel that I use for my own business, because I practice, you know, what I preach, but it's the referrals that actually come through. So when someone finds you on Google, I mean, that's awesome. But then you work with them for 12 months and they're raving about you, particularly when you're not in the room. So when someone can say, I've been working with Dawes and I've worked with her for 12 months and these are the results that we've been able to see, then other people do get a bit of FOMO and go, okay, well, I need to get in contact, you know, with her too. So really referrals and SEO have been the two main ways of growing my business. But I've always wanted to be the main person that my clients speak to, work with. I'm the one that has my hands, you know, like on all their reports and all their parts. And so there's no disconnect between what they're getting when they initially sign up to what they're getting, you know, once they're working with me. So yeah, it has evolved, look, over the 7 years. And I did at one point try and bring on more people, and I just found that it wasn't the right fit for me. And I would rather have a smaller number of clients per month that I work with, but work really, really closely with as well, like to the point they can pick up the phone. I know exactly what they're talking about. I don't have to ask, you know, this person and that person, where is this at? Where is it up to? Because I'm across all of my accounts. And just, I think it's a point of difference. You know, it's very hard to find that these days.
I would definitely agree. And you've definitely taken more of like the boutique quality personal relationship approach. And you do see a lot of businesses out there that the thought is we have to scale, we have to grow quickly, but sometimes that's not sustainable. In fact, I've seen it to where people hire teams without having the client base, and they say, okay, we're ready to fulfill. And then of course, sales and marketing is doing everything they can to get clients in the door, but then at the end of the day, that growth technique is not necessarily reliable either, because sometimes when you do get those clients, then they fall off because they're not getting that personalized approach. So I love the way that you're doing things. You're actually like a dream SEO specialist, I would say, for probably a lot of your clients. So that's amazing. Well, I do want to ask you another thing. So what would you say to anybody wanting to get in the field of SEO, or do you have any recommendations for them, or just maybe some insight overall, kind of from your experience and based on your path?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really important to have the hands-on experience and work with an agency or work with a small team so that you can learn all the ins and outs rather than just, I guess, you know, watching a few YouTube videos and then going, yeah, I'm ready to launch. You really have to experience working on accounts and working with clients and the whole process. So from, you know, the client acquisition all the way to fulfillment, I think it's important to get that experience, because sometimes just learning as you go is not the best way. Like if you're doing it entirely on your own and you're just launching your own business, particularly if it's your own brand, I think you need to be quite mindful that when someone is making that type of investment, they have certain expectations that come with that, and you're only going to be able to fulfill that with experience.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, I think just being self-taught and then going and launching your own SEO consultancy can be a little bit tricky. It's not that it can't be done. Absolutely. There's people that have done it and they're, you know, successful and doing amazing things, and that's great. I just don't think it's necessarily for everyone. And so if I had to go back in time, there's nothing that I would change about my path, because the 5 years at that agency taught me so much, and it taught me about what I do want and what I don't want as well.
I think that that's valuable in itself. And then also working with a team of experts who have done it, sometimes it could be one of those situations that you wouldn't know what to ask, or in this sense to kind of say, like, you wouldn't know what potholes to look for type of thing, and know whether you're doing things wrong or right. And sometimes somebody that's done it before can come before and say, oh, here's the way we do things and here's why. Whereas it might have taken you much longer to experience and learn those things on your own. So I think there's a lot of value in that. Well, that's amazing. Where could any of our listeners find you if they wanted to reach out to you, ask you maybe for some insight, possibly become a client, work with you, anything like that? Is there a website or anywhere they should go to learn more about you and your company?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's letsgetvisible.com.au, and there's 2 pathways to work with me. So one is that done for you option, where you can outsource your SEO and work with me in that capacity. Or I also have 2 SEO programs. So if you're a small business owner and you're not ready to actually outsource your SEO, you can either do my SEO bootcamp or my SEO accelerator program. So you'll learn all about SEO from, again, the ground up, and that will just support you to be, more informed, more empowered to make decisions about your business from an SEO perspective, and then, get to the point where you can outsource it, if you wish to do that as well.
I love that. That's amazing. It's been so great to speak with you. And lastly, I don't want to take up all your time, but I do want to say big props and kudos to you for all the work that you have done just over the years. It's really inspiring to see that. I'm a mother as well, and I just love to see other moms out there just working, getting it done, and making their company grow. I think that's really the dream. And so just to see people doing it is inspiring, and I love that. So keep up the great work.
Thank you so much.